Hi, this is Mrs. Zhu, and today we are in notes number 10. So this is on page 122 in your notebook. Go ahead and title it 9.2 Angles and Their Relationships. So any part of the video that I highlight is what you have to copy. So you do need to pause the video at times to do that. Okay? Alright. So please make sure you copy that down. Our objective here is we're going to name angles and find missing angles. So if I look at this angle, we always name the angles based on their vertices. So the vertex here is point A, right here, and the sides are AB, so that's the ray, AB. So A is the end point, and B is the part that continues to go on forever, which is why you see a little arrow above there, B. There's also the ray that is called AC, and A is the end point of the other ray, and C is the part that continues on, and that's why the arrow is above the C. So those are the sides of my angle. The name of the angle, we can call it angle BAC, so B, A, and then C, and notice that A is in the middle, or we can call it angle CAB, and again angle that A is in the middle, or we could just simply call it angle A. Alright, so if there's too many letters, just notice the middle angle. I like to just look at the middle letter to help me with the angle. You don't have to copy any of this down, okay? Only the parts that I highlight. So the angles that I see may be difficult to find, but we can basically say that the angle is formed at the intersection of two rays or two line segments. Pause and write that down. Okay, the types of angle we already know, so just a quick review. That is an acute angle. We know it measures less than 90 degrees. We also have this here, which measures exactly a 90 degree, called a right angle. And that angle we call obtuse, and it's more than 90 degrees, and it also is less than 180 degrees. And that kind of angle we call a straight angle. And a straight angle is exactly 180 degrees. If you want to write any part of this down in your notes, you can, but you don't have to. Just a review. Alright, now we're going to name adjacent angles. Okay, adjacent angles, here's our definition, are angles that are next to. My classroom is actually adjacent to Mr. Streckfus's. And I know you don't have him as a teacher because he's another math teacher, but he does teach 8th grade math. So maybe Mr. Trait's classroom is next to Mr. Castro's, or Mrs. Hemerson's is kind of adjacent to Mrs. Hale's classroom on the other side, or Mr. Adele and Mr. Mott's are next to each other. Those are adjacent. Now they happen to also share a ray or share a segment. So we're going to name 3 different angles here that we see. And that's one angle here, so that's angle WXY, or we could call it angle YXW, and again notice the X in between those 3 letters, so that's angle X, but specifically this angle. Otherwise angle X might look like any other angle. Another angle would be the blue one here, which would be angle YXZ, or what's another name we could call it? Good, ZXY. And again notice that X is in the middle, and that represents your vertex. Or we could use the green one, the larger angle, the 2 angles put together, which is angle WXZ, or we could call it ZXW. And again notice the X in the middle. Okay? We can't name any of the angles angle X, because angle X we won't know, it's not specific, because they all share the same vertex. Alright, so let's look at naming a couple of them that are acute. Now you could just do this on your own without having to draw the picture in your notes, so just do it with us. So if you want to pause the video, go ahead and pause it for about a minute or 2 and work quietly. Alright, so one acute angle could be, angle BEC or CEB. 2 right angles, good, could be angle AED, or we can call it angle DEA, Another one could be angle CED or angle DEC. Sorry, it's a little hard to see. There we go. One of the obtuse angles could be angle AEB, right there in the green, or BEA. And a straight angle could be angle AEC or angle CEA. Alright, let's talk about complementary angles. Go ahead and copy that down. Now, complementary angles are angles who add up to 90 degrees. And we all know what a 90-degree angle looks like. It looks like that. So if I were to take the side on the right and I split that into two angles, A and B, then we could say that the measurement of angle A plus the measurement of angle B will equal to 90. That angle we'll call X, and another angle we'll call Y. If we add those together, they may or may not be next to each other, adjacent, like angle A and B are, but maybe if we added them together, they could still be 90 degrees. Copy that down, okay? And if you can, also please copy down this picture so that you know what a complementary angle looks like. Now we're going to find the measure of the missing angle. Now, go ahead and try this by yourself first, and then we will continue the video. Alright, after you pause the video, now you should have tried these two questions by yourself. So let's see what we get. And you're going to go ahead and you need to copy all of this into your notebook. Alright, so we've got the angle measure of X plus the angle of 35 degrees is going to equal to 90. So we have to just simply solve by taking that 35 and then subtracting it from 90, and that will give us 55 degrees. So the measurement of angle X is equal to 55 degrees. It is very important that you write it just like this. Make sure you label the degrees, and M with that symbol angle, and X will equal to 55 degrees is how we would write the final answer. Alright, this is a perfect rectangle, and so the corners are perfect 90-degree angles, which means that angle DAC or angle Y is going to be 22 subtracted from 90, okay, and that will give us 68. So the measurement of angle DAC is equal to 68 degrees. Or you can write angle Y if you want instead. Alright, we're going to find the complement of the angle measured below. And go ahead and do this in your notebook. So do this whole page in your notebook. So if I have another angle that complements the angle number 1 for 30 degrees, then complementary angles add up to 90. So the missing angle for number 1 would simply be 60 degrees. Take a minute and pause the video and try all of them, and then come back and replay. Here are your answers now that you've already done it. Number 3 is 10 degrees, good. 4, 28 degrees. 5, 65 degrees. 6, 13 degrees. 7, 37 degrees. And the last one, there are no complements for 8 because it is already greater than 90 degrees, and there's no complement for that. And we know angles cannot be negative. Alright, go ahead and copy this word down in your notebook. Supplementary angles. Supplementary angles are angles whose sum is 180 degrees. So, since we know that a straight line is 180, if I were to take a straight line and to split it up into two angles, K and T, then those two angles added together would equal to 180. So, if I have maybe angle B or angle C, then if I were to put those two together, then they also add up to 180. So supplementary angles also do not need to be adjacent like you see in the first picture, but they just have to add up to 180 degrees. Go ahead and copy all this down that I've highlighted. down as well in your notebook, and you're going to work on this. So we're going to find the missing angle measures here. So pause the video and try it yourself, then come back when you're done. Alright, you should be done now. So angle X and the angle 55 here, when I add them up, they're that straight angle that we see, and so it should equal 180 degrees. So if I simply subtract 180 and 55, then I'll get that missing angle. So the measurement of angle X is equal to 125 degrees. And for the second problem, we can definitely see that straight angle again right there. So measurement of angle Y with 147 degrees is 180. And if I simply subtract them, then I will get that angle measurement of angle Y, which is 33 degrees. How did you do? Alright, let's find the supplement of the following. So go ahead and copy this down in your notes and try it and spend a minute, and we'll come now. So in number 1, the supplement of the angle. Remember that supplement, they should add up to 180. So the other angle will give us 162 degrees. Number 2, number 3, and here are the rest of the answers. How did you do? Was number 8 a little bit tricky? Okay, well the complement of 50 was 40, so then the supplement would be 140 degrees. I'm sorry. So number 8 was kind of tricky. So you're actually finding another angle in number 9, and all they give you is the complement. So if the complement of 50 means it adds up to 90, then that missing one was 40. Then we have to find the supplement of 40, which is 140. Alright, go ahead and try this in your notes. You got to copy all this down as well. These ones are a little bit tricky because we see variables. So why don't we try number 1 together? Alright, in number 1, I can tell that the angle here is going to equal to 90 degrees, meaning if I were to add them together, which is n degree plus 2n plus 30, that equals to 90, which simply without the degree symbols, if I add up n plus 2n, that gives me 3n's. So 3n plus 30 is 90. Then I simply find n, which I'm going to use this strategy, friends and family. So I'm going to subtract 30 on both sides. 3n is 60, which means n is 20. Now, then I'm going to say that angle n degrees is 20 degrees. Okay, and the number 2 is the same things, but in here, because this is the straight angle, the two angles at the bottom would add up to 180. Good. So if I add those together, 4n plus 30 plus the n minus 10, then I'm going to need to simply combine my like terms, which is 4n and n. 4n plus n is 5n. And 30 minus 10 is 20. And we know that's equal to 180. So for here I'm going to solve. I'm going to move the 20 over to the 180, which is I'm going to subtract. So 160 is equal to 5n. Then I'm going to take the 5 and I'm going to divide with the 160. And giving me that n is 32. From there, I can plug the numbers back into the angles and figure out what that specific angle is, which we're not going to do right now. Okay? Alright, this is the end of the video. So we're going to just quickly go to the last part actually, because I don't have enough time. And actually we're not going to finish the rest of it, but what you really needed to just know and review is complementary and supplementary angles. So if you need to rewatch this video, please do so that you know what we're going to be doing in class tomorrow. Thank you. See you tomorrow.